So, you know, it's a difficult situation to be in. If Lulu's not taken, I would imagine Fnatic would consider snapping that one up.
Wonder here as well, with the Twitch ban, whether Lucian becomes a first pick priority for these teams. I imagine he comes either in Millenium's first pick or Fnatic's 2 picks here. Millenium, you can see, really running that clock down, and a very thoughtful look on Kevin's face as Millenium look to choose their first champion here for this game. They will take the Lulu, as you predicted.
So it's primarily because of the limiting factor in terms of mid laners. There are so many champions removed from the pool. The interesting thing is whether or not that's going to be a top lane Lulu or a mid lane Lulu. Last week, I got super excited when I seen Lulu because in my head, she's now a top lane champion because of how many European teams are running her there. But it is something that we continue to see in that middle lane. One of the other interesting factoids is that all 3 junglers are available. So Cyanide has the option to go Lee Sin, Elise, or Evelynn based on whatever he's looking for comfort-wise, and it's going to be that Lee Sin locked in.
Yeah, Lee Sin and the Lucian pick up there. We expected that in the first rounds of choices, and it does go over to Reckless in this game. The Morgana was left open this time around, and I mentioned that, and Millenium start to hover over that one. So we'll see whether they want to prioritize the support in this one, since there's already an AD carry and jungler over on the other side. And will we see Tristana here in the European LCS? We are going to see that locked in, and obviously in North America really come to prominence last week.
Definitely. A lot of the auto attack champions we were expecting to see on 4.10 took a little while longer to filter in. We did see Caitlyn in the opening weeks, but I believe 4 or 5 games ran Tristana in North America. I want to see where Creatine decides to build. If he's going to go for the likes of a Blade of the Ruined King, or if he wants to rush the Infinity Edge first, especially considering he's up against Reckless and Lucian, who you're very confident is going to go Blade of the Ruined King into Ghost Blade. So the power spike will definitely be in Reckless's favor in the mid game. But the longer the game goes, the scarier that Tristana is going to become.
Wow.
Top lane Soaz.
Top lane, well, top lane Soaz. Thanks, Captain Obvious.
All of this top talk has thrown me off.
But we are going to see Evelynn put in there, and that's the champion that we expected Cottonex actually to be playing in this game. I think we can say, you know, the top 3 junglers really are something that both of these guys really familiar with. Cottonex been running Evelynn the last couple of weeks. We know how good his Lee Sin as well. Fnatic deciding to take 2 of those away and maybe forcing Cottonex onto something a little bit different this time around. Also looking for a possible mid or top lane. I expect that Lulu will end up in the mid lane with Kerp, and Kevin may end up with this Aatrox. You mentioned that in the pre-game that he's been doing well with it.
If he's not going to go Aatrox, I do assume it's going to be something like an Irelia. There's a lot of single target damage from the Millenium squad. Tristana is going to be, you know, single target auto attack focus. Morgana wants to lock someone down and focus them out with that Dark Binding. And with the Kha'Zix actually locked in, this is a very interesting change. Once Kha'Zix lost his damage reduction on his ultimate, he fell out of favor at LCS level in Europe. But we did see him played a couple of times in North America, and the challenger scene is still playing him a lot. One of the benefits that he did gain is a good chunk of damage on his isolation when somebody's truly isolated, and his waves monster clear is decent on his W, as there was a boost to the monster damage. The only thing is, if Cottonex doesn't get ahead, if Cottonex doesn't start snowballing, I do feel like he is a jungle champion that falls off without kills or without items. Lee Sin will always have utility in his kicks, in his saves, in his mobility. Kha'Zix a little bit less so. So a lot of pressure on Cottonex to get rolling and get rolling quickly.
Yeah, also saw him last week in Korea, SK Telecom against Samsung Blue. Cottonex played him. I doubt that one very much. Kha'Zix did come through in those ones. Looks like we're being trolled on the other side, though. I don't think Fnatic will be locking that champion in. In fact, it's a last-second switch out to Syndra in the mid lane for Xpeke.
So Xpeke is actually flirting with Syndra a little more frequently. He is playing this champion, and the last time these teams played, if memory serves, Peke was playing Syndra against Kerp's LeBlanc and did a pretty good job. It was the first time we'd seen Syndra holding her own against LeBlanc's. The one thing that I'm interested in from Fnatic's side is they don't have a traditional engaged champion. They're going to be relying on the Lee Sin kicks or a flank from Evelynn. And then, if they blow somebody up with the right damage, with the right skill shots, obviously the peel and protection from Yellowstar's Thresh will be very important. I do, however, like Millenium's late game scaling. Lulu's going to get better. Tristana's going to get better. Aatrox is going to become terrifying as well. And we need to see how how Millenium handle themselves.
Well, going to be a good game, that's for sure. Guys, which lineup do you think has the edge? Tweet #MILWin or #FNCWin to @LOL Esports. We'll see who you think came out ahead. 67%, I do believe it was, the vote in favor of Fnatic before we actually got into picks and bans on this one. So be very interested to see if these compositions and a couple of different little picks coming out have swayed your mind. I think it may have swayed mine a little bit there. An interesting strategy from Fnatic, seeing Millenium not locking in the Evelynn for CottonX and saying, you know what, let's take it for the jungle and we'll put Lee Sin in the top lane with Soaz.
This is what I want to see from Soaz, is whether or not his performance on Lee Sin is going to be telling. Because when Soaz is having fun, he does particularly well. And when he's not necessarily psychologically in the game, he does tend to struggle. We've seen his Ziggs game earlier. He was talking very positively in the post-game interview in terms of coming back to grounds. And very important for him is finding the 1v1. It's clear Soaz doesn't like 2v1s, doesn't like 3v1s, doesn't like tower dives. So if he can get the matchup against Kevin, that could do a whole lot to help his comfort zone and bring him back into this game.
And Soaz, we've been harping on about him since the dawn of time, it seems, that he's a player who brings such new and diverse champions into this top lane. I'm not trying to say that Lee Sin top is particularly a new thing. Of course, it's been around since, well, pretty much as long as Soaz has. But the fact is that he's not scared of choosing something different. And we see it today. Ziggs top lane and a Lee Sin top lane. Definitely two champions in the top lane that are not traditional right now.
Yes, and Soaz has always been that player that does go against the curve. I think is the best way to explain it. Regardless of where the meta currently is, Soaz will try to force his playstyle, his preferences onto the meta. We did just have to quickly remake the lobby, guys, so teams are running through picks and bans, and we'll get into this matchup shortly. But I do want to see whether or not Millenium looks for a lane swap. I want to see whether or not Peke can punish a mid lane Lulu. Again, he did it earlier today, set that new LCS farming record. And as Deficio said many times, Lulu no longer a prominent lane bully. But this is many, many patches ago. Lulu's definitely scaling, utility, and mid to late game damage. And we need to see if Millenium can get there.
And going to be a problem possibly here for Fnatic to get their hands on the Tristana, who obviously her range as we go along is only going to make it harder to pin down. You've got the rocket jump to get away from things. They do have that Evelynn in the lineup though with Cyanide, and it's probably going to be mainly his task to actually get those flanks going. Some of the best Evelynns we've seen recently, the ones that have been able to get behind an entire team.
I completely agree with you. And once again, if we just quickly switch to Millenium, their damage and their focus is once again blow somebody up, move on. Lulu wants to be stealthing up a Kha'Zix who's going to be running into a team fight, give him a shield, give him a wild growth, try get that assassination. Once he can get his evolved wings, start leaping around multiple times, Tristana is going to get resets on a rocket jump if they can blow people up. And the key is going to be very much focus a target down, then move on. As opposed to LeBlanc mid, where you want to blow them up quickly and do it. This is just going to be a little more sustained. Use Lulu and Aatrox for zoning, get the damage down from Tristana, and move on to your next target.
Well, definitely an exciting game coming our way, guys, and we are going to get into that match. It's Millenium versus Fnatic here. A very, very interesting one with some different picks coming to the table. Creelton bringing out that Tristana in the AD carry role for the first time we've seen here in Europe at least. Soaz also taking Lee Sin to the top lane and Syndra in the mid lane, something that we see once a blue moon, I think it's fair to say. And we'll see how his performance is on it today up against Kerp, who's definitely a man that you need to do well against. He is shutting people down left and right these days. Completely
agree. And in terms of that mid lane matchup, that's Syndra versus Lulu, Syndra, of course, has got the ability to hit multi-man stuns, has got an immense amount of burst damage once she gets those items locked up. But very crucially, Peke is going to have an easier time in lane against the Lulu in terms of just the straight-up 1v1s. The one thing Peke is going to be careful of is CottonX coming to gank for Kerp, because if you can get Lulu ahead, you do have pretty good wave clear early on. You can make Peke's life difficult. But it looks like lane swap potentially on the cards here for Millenium. They maybe want to get in Soaz's head and maybe deny that early game pressure that Lee Sin would apply to Aatrox.
And that's the thing about Soaz. We know him as a very temperamental player when it comes to doing well and not. If you put him off his game, if you can camp him out of the match hard enough to the point where he's feeling frustrated, then that's definitely a plausible strategy against Fnatic. Also, you have to say, on the other hand, he is a man with so much experience over these years that those kind of things probably shouldn't be phasing him anymore. We'll have to see how that one all goes. Fnatic were all set up by their red buff right from the very get-go, but looks like they'll be slowly but surely moving off. Of course, they're going to come back now to that top side. It's interesting because they've seen Millenium coming around from this one, so they're going to try and fend off this red invade.
It's all due to the vision. Fnatic had 5 wards down across the river. They spotted the invade, and it looks like Millenium are going to get pushed away. Look for Yellow Star to potentially start something out. I think the presence of Fnatic has scared Millenium away, but that defense of the red buff all stems from Fnatic's very good early game vision. The wards just timed out a moment or two ago, but it means that Fnatic hold on to their buff, they delay CottonX, and Yellow Star's even going aggressive to potentially steal Millenium's buff. A very smart tactical play from Fnatic in the early game.
Gonna try and get a ward down here in the brush by Wraiths. And actually doesn't have a ward available, so that'll be a difficult task for him if nothing else, but he will have vision of it, and we see that Fnatic are already moving down from that one. Cyanide and Soaz are there to help things out, so this red buff is going away, and that means a 3-buff start for Fnatic.
Such a smart play from Fnatic. Their trinket wards in the river allowed them to defend their own buff, and then a very decisive play from Yellow Star. He was a good 10 or 12 seconds ahead of the rest of his team when he went for that invade, because he was so confident that CottonX was going to secure his own blue, and it just means that Cyanide's going to get a little more experience and, very importantly, slow down CottonX's jungle clear as well as his level gain. So I like the start, but it does mean that Fnatic are in the lane swap scenario, so we'll need to keep an eye on Creatine and J.Re if they opt to hard push this lane. When you've got a Tristana, you somewhat automatically do the moment you put a point into that explosive shot because of the splash damage when you kill minions.
And Kevin there going to be spotted as he leaves that golem area to find that Wraith Camp has already gone, and he knows therefore that that red buff is also gone from them. At the moment, Fnatic just picking up their blue buff, and look at this, CottonX is going to come and try and counter that one a little bit. We've also got J.Re hanging around, so they may make a move, try and force an early flash out of Peke in this mid lane. It's going to be all about the binding. He does actually land on him. Good stun to Kevin. Can they lock him up? Ignite is down, flash from CottonX, and the first blood does come in. However, Fnatic pushing back around. Do manage to get a kill back there onto CottonX, but that will be all she wrote in the mid lane. It's one apiece. First blood going over to Millenium.
Very, very important kills there for Millenium to get the kill on Lulu, which is great. Going to help out against Peke. What I like about the reply is Fnatic responded very, very quickly. With the kill onto CottonX by Cyanide, he's also got himself that blue buff. So refreshed his buffs, and he's going to continue farming up with that Evelynn. So going to help him with further clear speed. Good play by Millenium, well countered by Fnatic. Both teams sitting even, only 200 gold separating them.
Just want to point out something interesting as well from Creatine's side in the top lane, as Fnatic are actually doing Dragon here. He's level 3, but has only skilled up Rocket Jump up until now. Doesn't want that explosive shot because he doesn't want to push that wave out. He wants to keep that frozen exactly where he wants it. Either way, it might mean that Millenium lose out on a Dragon here. Pink Ward's gone over the top. Dragon is already low. Fnatic tanking this one up. Will they be able to get in there for the steal? That was real close. But Fnatic do get it in the end thanks to Yellow Star.
Very, very close. Last auto attack from Yellow Star securing the damage. A little bit of an uncharacteristic late smite from Cyanide. Definitely known as one of the best smiters in Western League of Legends. And as you rightly pointed out, Creatine with a single point in the Rocket Jump, I think it's a good time to tell everybody Rocket Jump was also adjusted in 4.10. It is slightly more accurate when calculating where you land and how it interacts with jumping over walls. So we need to see how well Creatine can use that mobility. We're going to get set up for another fight in the bottom lane, and it looks like Fnatic have got the numbers advantage. It's 4 versus 3. Millenium decide not to engage because Jerry's Dark Binding didn't connect.
No connection means no follow through. A Hawk actually coming out there from Yellow Star. You have to wonder if he's put that purposely wide to make Millenium wonder if anyone will still be hanging around there should anything really start to kick off. Not actually the case, and Fnatic feeling pretty confident, I think, with this one, as finally Creatine's going to have some resistance to talk of in this top lane. Has now finally put a couple of skills over into his other abilities. His Kerp not quite being locked up there by Peke. Cyanide was hanging around in case they got the stun.
So even Stevens, as far as CS is concerned, all 3 lanes doing well, and Kerp very actually intelligent with his aggression. He realizes the siege minion is pushing under his tower, so knowing that the minion wave is not going to crash with his tower, he forces Peke away. just that little bit of poke means Peke loses out on a couple CS worth of experience. He's not lost hitting all of those minions until that very little cheeky play. But I like the aggression from Kerb. Considering how passive we've seen Overpower play Lulu earlier, it's nice to see Kerb getting in Peke's face and trying to punish him.
Let's have a look down CS across the board. There is a lead for Creaton after freezing that wave up top, 56-47. So holding himself a nice little lead. And you can see there in the bottom left that he has now skilled into his different abilities, including his ultimate up at level 6 already. However, up against Lee Sin at level 4 and Evelyn at level 4 still might have a bit of trouble on his hands. Is at the same time, he has his ultimate to knock someone away, got the rocket jump and a flash available, so shouldn't be in too much danger, even if Evelyn would have stuck around.
Shouldn't be, but there's one thing you do also want to remember. As you've highlighted, Creaton is putting points in a rocket jump, and he's putting points into his explosive shot, obviously. Tristana does have a fair amount of burst. It's not high by any stretch of the imagination, but focusing on W, E, and R allows Creaton to combo with burst damage from Cotnex and potentially blow somebody up, especially before any HP or armor items have been secured. Also keep in mind, Creaton with the rocket jump, with the buster shot, is magic damage. So early games where Soaz is just going to chain vest, that damage will hit just a little harder.
As we're talking about that, we did see Creaton go back, pick himself up the Cutlass. So it looks like he's going Blade of the Ruin King first here on Tristana. As you mentioned, in North America last week where we saw a high number of Tristanas, we also saw a different approach to how to build her as well. Some little successful, more successful than others, let's call it. But they're going to be actually moving down towards the bottom lane. Fnatic's AD carry Reckless has just recalled as well, and it looks like he's going towards the top of the map. So they want to keep this 2 versus 1 scenario going on. As Millenium now looking for their blue buff. However, they do have Yellow Star here to cause a problem. Evelyn's on the way.
Yeah, he's alone. There's 3 members of Millenium. If they jump on him quickly, he runs the risk of getting caught up and manages to back away at the right time. I actually really like Creaton going Blade of the Ruin King against Lee Sin and Evelyn, because if either of them dive onto him, he not only has rocket jump to escape, he has buster shot to knock people away, and he's going to have the movement speed increase and slow from Blade of the Ruin King active. So that's going to be a pretty safe AD carry. And lane swaps, as you've already highlighted, no tower's gone down yet, but Dragon will be up in a few minutes' time, and Soaz and the rest of Fnatic now at a disadvantage thanks to the fact that their duo is up top.
So Blue buff finally going over there to Peke as well. We did see Kerb picking his up just a little earlier on, and that pressure's still on this bottom lane. Fnatic not quite pushing the top lane out quite as much as Millenium on that bottom side of the map, but we do see one thing that has changed is Reckless getting himself right back up there with the farm, 79-79, so all even, and that 10 CS difference that was present a few minutes ago has now been nullified as Kevin gonna take a lot of damage from that one. Good little flay coming out from Yellow Star as now Cyanide being chased around here by Kerb. This is gonna be a decent amount of damage. Kerb, level 8, takes half of Cyanide's health.
That is very good damage, and Yellow Star, I think he wants to tower dive on Kevin. That's the flay.
There we go, flay coming in, the hook will land as well, but the jump away from Aatrox, the culling will come out. There is no, the Bloodwell didn't get popped. Reckless gonna get the speed boost from his heal. Is it enough? There is the Bloodwell pop, but can he actually keep him under control long enough to finish off? No, one more auto attack would have done it, but Kevin surviving with the skin of his teeth.
Down to 16 hit points, and he manages to walk away with his life. Soaz knows that Cotnex is there, lands a Sonic Wave, and that's gonna give up the ghost for Millenium. Good counterplay by Kevin to get away, and if you actually look at the summoner spells, Flash and Heal for Reckless, Flash and Ignite for Yellow Star, in comparison to just a Flash for Kevin. So you need to weigh up, are all of those summoner spells worth a single tower and the Bloodwell passive? That is what Fnatic unlocked. If Millenium can punish the summoner spells being down for the next few minutes, obviously it'll be in favor of Millenium, but they've only got that small window of opportunity where they know their opponents are down on summoners.
And now they lose that bottom tower as well. Q did land onto Jerry, but Creaton would have been able to knock Soaz straight away out of that one. We do have the second Dragon coming back up here in just a second. Fnatic, of course, losing out on the first one. Let's see if Millenium can hold on to this.
So very, very high pressure situation. Millenium do have teleport with Kevin in the top lane. They should be able to make it down if a fight breaks out, but Fnatic already tightly grouped up. Millenium are split. We need to keep our eyes on Kevin's teleport. He started it. Here's the fight.
TP coming down. Soaz already at half HP. There is a wild growth right in the middle. kill, but Cornet's going to be focused. Cyanide will have to flash away, and Millenium looking to chase this one. Then Reckless getting bound up. SOAS actually diving back in. Fnatic also low. There's the double kill. Creighton not following through. He knows Peke is still dangerous at full health. In the end, though, they managed to get a 2-for-1, and they turned back around to Dragon, which, of course, was taken by Fnatic last time around. I told little lies before that, but Peke's not done here. Blue buff is on. He's going to see a TP coming in from SOAS as well, down towards the Dragon that's only at half health, and Millenium have vacated.
1-for-2, and Fnatic look to be securing the Dragon. Millenium haven't necessarily given it up yet. Gonna look for a steal attempt, and we'll keep our eyes on that. If it's gonna happen, Kevin may even go in. Not this time. So, 1-for-2, Fnatic get Dragon. They still come out ahead in net gain gold. But what was very interesting to see was the team fight and how convincing it was for Millenium. Fnatic had a tighter group. They had more members stacked up in the Dragon Pit area. Millenium came in with a flank and a teleport from Kevin. Yes, they lost Cotnex fairly early on, but Creighton was left untouched, and he rocket jumped into 4 members of Fnatic, only to flash out safely. With the double kill, he's got his Blade of the Rune King completed already. And if Creighton can continue playing aggressively and getting those kill secures, he's going to accelerate this weak period of the game for Tristana.
And that's the real danger as well. The faster he gets to that late game destruction, honestly, that you have when Tristana gets that far on, it's going to mean problems for Fnatic. See there more free farm for him down on this bottom lane. Kerp also trying to get back in there. And there's the experience difference over time between Kevin and SOAS as Kerp here. I don't think he's in that much of trouble. We'll have to use his wild growth, but won't take too much damage from that one. SOAS recently has been doing really, really well there with the experience.
So 2 things to note regarding SOAS. He missed the Sonic Wave there to initiate the gank, and thanks to the pressure that he's been under on the bottom lane when he was defending from Millenium, he is now down half the CS. Oh, they've got Creighton!
They've got Creighton, and they could kill him as well. I expect they will actually get it on Jerry. Gonna be kicked away as well, and Millenium in all kinds of trouble from this one. Cotnex will go down, and Fnatic, just like that, pick up 3 kills without really losing much health. SOAS the only one that's lost any real health in that one, and this is surely a turret for them as well. It's already low.
Out of absolutely nowhere, Fnatic string together 3 kills, and if you look at there was vision in the river for Millenium, but they just got completely surprised. And unfortunate for Millenium, just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Take a look at the vision on the minimap. I mean, Fnatic are just standing in the one bush that wasn't warded up, and just a great engage. No hesitation from Fnatic. Cleaning up. You can see Cyanide zoning away on the top half of the map. Very strong play, and just unfortunate for Millenium. Didn't have the vision. Fnatic punished them for it.
Punish them, and now have a healthy gold lead as well to boot. They're sitting at about 3,000 here. Their lead, 2-1 up in turrets. And if you look at the kills, spread perfectly across the board at this stage of the match. A kill for every single man on the team. As Millenium go back to that spot where they were, well, they caught untimely deaths, let's call it, just a few moments before, and are able to clear out a couple of Fnatic wards. They've also sent Creighton back down into this bottom lane where a healthy minion wave has built up for him. He's obviously going to shred straight through that with explosive shot.
Yeah, I also want to highlight the fact that Yellowstar is once again going for the Talisman of Ascension as his first item on Thresh. In terms of European Thresh players, we're not seeing everyone trend towards this. We are still seeing a lot of Relic shields. And I like the fact that there is diversity and itemization in the same role. I also like the fact that for Fnatic, because they lack super hard engage, they're reliant on a flank from Cyanide, which is reliant on positioning from Millenium. If you can get that Talisman of Ascension to allow Syndra or Evelynn or Lee Sin to land their key abilities quicker, it creates your engage possibilities. And it does look like SOAS is still behind on CS. He's picked himself up that Sunfight Cape, so going to go for that tanky front line. And I do want to see how he itemizes, because this is the first top lane Lee Sin in Europe on 4.10.
So Peke going to come down bottom. It's clear the Fnatic may make a play on this outer turret, and I don't think there's really anything here for Millenium to stop them. We saw Jerry was hanging around, but he was forced to back away, and this will be at least half of the turret going down, and may even be more. Look at this, so Fnatic playing it very safe as they do kick Kevin towards their own turret. Can they actually lock him up? He's got Bloodwell available, but he's not going to get that popped here inside of the Tribush. Fnatic sit right on top of him, and as Kevin tries to get off, SOAS will pin him down for another kill.
I actually like the fact that Kevin did not blow either his ultimate or his flash. He realized he was going to get chased down, and instead of wasting the cooldowns, with teleport available meant if Fnatic started any other objective fight, Kevin could respond. Well played by Fnatic. They shut him down, punished him from overextending, and for not having, overextending in a lane without a tower. So a little bit of a misplay from Kevin. Fnatic punish it well.
What is the next port of call for them, though? We see them moving through the Millenium topside jungle. They've already got good vision on that side of the map as well, so Millenium not really safe to be going in this one. I think this top inner turret may just be going down here. Millenium have got a couple of men recalling from the mid lane. Only Kevin here to defend.
Millenium have got really good wave clear, but you need to be in the right area at the right time in order to make use of it. And unfortunately for Millenium, this looks like another 50% worth of towers HP lost just by not defending the right place at the right time. And Fnatic have done such a good job that pick is left uncontested in the mid lane. So Fnatic are just dancing around the threats of Millenium and slowly chipping away at their objectives. We're not even 20 minutes into the game, and Fnatic is punishing the inner turrets in the top and middle lane. This is very uncharacteristic for Europe as a region, and Fnatic are doing very well.
Well, this is a Fnatic that we were used to from before, a team that would always utilize split pushing, whether they had real split push champions in there or not. And that's something that's certainly causing a couple of problems so far in this game for Millenium. However, they have all grouped up now because look at that top left timer. We have the Dragon here in 10 seconds time.
And for the second time in a row, Kevin is going to be pushing the top lane with teleport. He will be doing battle with SOAS shortly though. And Kevin has not really completed any major items. He's just got that Ninja Tabi, Vamp Scepter, and the Chain Vest. So let's see if he wants to even take this duel. It doesn't look to be the case. A little bit afraid of that Sunfire cape for SOAS.
Should be as well. SOAS going to have the control to keep him locked up here as well. Kicks him against the wall. Will he have the damage to actually finish this one though? He's already used his kick there, so won't be able to stop Kevin from TPing away. But Kevin more concerned about getting away with his life. There's a slow. Where's the Q? He's got to get the Q onto him, and he doesn't manage it from this time. But SOAS just showing, even with a Sunfire cape, double Doran's played in there, he can hold Kevin down.
Manages to force Kevin's flash as well, and Fnatic now have positioning on the Dragon. Notice SOAS is instantly recalled, so going to heal himself up, and we may see both teleports being used, and that's where they are. Now, it's up to Millenium to blow somebody up if they want to win the fight.
Fnatic trying to get in there, but Dragon stolen away this time by Connect. They've got to kill as well onto Cyanide. That means that Millenium can keep pushing, but have they got the control to actually lock anyone up to get a kill from this? Curve going in towards SOAS. Ignite was down, but that won't be enough damage to finish off Lee Sin. Either way, Millenium get their first Dragon of the game, thanks to a nice steal from Cottonex.
And they also pick up that kill onto Cyanide. Thanks to a very decisive initiation, Millenium get the damage down onto the jungler. Unfortunately for Millenium, they aren't able to get anything more than that Dragon, but they'll be happy with that, closing up the gold gap. And again, a team fight going in favor of Millenium. The one thing that I really like about this particular play is you'll notice Cottonex and Kevin just instantly focusing down Cyanide. Unfortunate that none of the other crowd control landed from Millenium, but regardless, you can see the focus and how they want to play their comp. Get onto a guy, eliminate him, and allow Tristana and Kha'Zix to rocket jump and leap onto the next target.
This game's staying close at this point, and still will be a lot closer if Millenium are able to get a second Dragon in a row. Meanwhile, Reckless trying to finish off this outer turret in the bottom lane. It's the only one of the outer ring that's still left standing, and they're going to get it with this wave. Yellow Star there for backup, but they probably need to leave right now. Creaton and Cottonex are both going to be coming in for this one, but as he takes the Lantern, deciding against it. In fact, Yellow Star flashed to give him even more distance.
Yeah, really wanted to get away. You've always got to remember that when you're dealing with that Kha'Zix and Tristana, they've got such great gap closers already built in with the rocket jump, with the leap. And in addition to that, if they get caught by the slow of the rocket jump, there's the reposition ability of the Buster. So Fnatic playing it safe, they get the tower, and that only cost them a flash. And it's the second time this game, Fnatic have been willing to sacrifice their summoner spells in the pursuit of an objective, in this case the bottom lane tower.
Wow. Summoner spell's going to come back up. The towers, unfortunately for Millenium, aren't going to be. However, you always have to wonder after that if they'll be punished for using those summoner spells in that way. At this point now, we see Jerry and the presence of Kurt forcing Peke to be a little more cautious on that middle area of the map as he tried to clear out that pink ward. And look at this, they're setting up for it again, waiting for someone to move in as the binding comes out, doesn't connect onto Yellow Star. They'll finally get rid of that pink ward.
Yeah, I dare say that was optimistic at best, but nevertheless, it's worth an attempt. It's interesting to see Creatine going for the Blade of the Rune King as his next item. On the Tristanas that we have seen stateside, it's sort of been Blade into Infinity Edge, making use of that late game power, late game scaling. And it's also interesting because the magic damage from the Buster Shot and the Rocket Jump are not really amplified by the Ghost Blade, with the exception of cooldown reduction, allowing you to get them out a little more frequently. So I want to see in team fights whether or not the Ghost Blade, Blade of the Rune King, culling is more effective than Creatine's simple right-click auto attacks, because that's really, for me, who Millenium needs to keep alive, to get damage down, to help win these team fights.
Not to mention the fact that from Creatine's Q, he's going to have 75% attack speed increase for 7 seconds as well. So we'll have to see how that build all works out for him as we go along. We can't deny, though, of course, his range getting longer, and that becomes more and more of a threat as the game goes on.
That extensive range is something that Creatine needs to take advantage of. You know, because the 7 seconds on his rapid fire Q will match up with 6 seconds on his... Kevin's now picking a fight with SOAS.
Yeah, he's got Cornex for company as well, and that's why I felt more confident with that one, but in the end, SOAS just able to walk away using that mobility of the Lee Sin, especially if you look when he's got that sight stone in there as well, so able to safeguard off a little bit more, whether that's going over the wall into the jungle or just further up the lane to get away from any possible pressure. But Fnatic here starting to move in now onto the bottom side of the Millenium jungle, and this is a position that Kerp needs to be careful in. In the end, they decided not to actually fight over it, and Kerp's going to go back to mid to farm.
All of that invades and pressure from Fnatic is for Vision, for Dragon. They're looking for Kerp. Wow, that's Agni's Embrace.
Oh, they're going to kick him back here as well. He's used a very early Wild Growth. Not got much health left from this one, but they're slow onto Cyanide. Will that be enough to keep him alive here? Meanwhile, Cornex slowing down Yellow Star, and we see Kerp is able to survive that one despite a big challenge from a lot of Fnatic players.
Very good stun from Peke onto Kevin prevents another engage. While the combat is happening in the mid-river area, Reckless pushed bottom, and Millenium, they're going to back away. Fnatic are grouped up enough to defend the tower. But what was great about that play is just how quickly each team is reacting. And I think the reason both teams could react so quickly is anticipation of the next Dragon fight. All of the major engagements that have happened between these two teams have revolved around Dragon spawning and Dragon fights, and they've both been determined as well by teleports by the respective top laners. So SOAS going to push out top, Kevin going to push out top, Dragon's up in 50 seconds, and we will be seeing another team fight. I think Creatine should have enough money for his Ghost Blade, if my math is not too terrible, and there we go. He's going to secure himself that. So even as far as items are concerned between the AD carries, and positioning, I think, is going to be key. If anyone is slightly away from their team, there's so much damage from both squads that that person will just get instantly killed.
Yeah, mid lane as well, similar, in fact, pretty much exactly the same items. Oh, the hook coming onto Jerry, that's going to be a lot of damage. They may even be able to kill him. Wild Growth coming out, but it's going to be Peke that's able to finish off there through his ultimate right in his face, and that's a pick that you don't want to happen 10 seconds before Dragon comes up. Millenium are going to have to steal again.
That is a big mistake from Millenium. They lost 3 members earlier in the game just from Vision in that exact area of the map. Jerry and the rest of Millenium, oh, they've caught Cornex.
Oh, he's dead. He's not going to get away with that one with all that burst as well from Reckless and from XPK. And that again is Yellow Star doing incredibly well. And now SOA's actually fighting 2 of them on the top side of the map. Blue buff is up, but Fnatic are all about the Dragon.
Yellow Star deserves a cookie because his Thresh game earlier was fantastic. Saving team members left, right, and center, and peeling from everyone on Rockat to ensure teamfight victories. In this game, his death sentences have allowed multiple kills, which have set up the Dragon. And I really just want to hit home. Millenium were punished 6.5 minutes ago in the river in the exact same area because they disrespected Fnatic's Vision. They did it again. Jerry eats a death sentence, gets killed. They poke around Dragon because they've tried to steal it over the wall, and Yellow Star predicts it, lands a hook, and Millenium need to realize where Fnatic's Vision game is and play around it, not into it.
And Fnatic are now moving up to sweep out the Baron area as well, so making sure they have full control over the big objectives on this one. Critten's going to get himself a red buff in this match. We'll see how much that actually makes an impact on things, if they even want to fight Fnatic at this stage, knowing that one person's pretty much just going to get blown up instantly, and then they have to work around everything else. The wild growth, of course, will go onto that one person, and at the same time, you lose a lot of your utility if you have to use it on that guy that's fleeing, that's very low. You can't use it, for example, on CottonX, who's stealthed up and got into the middle of the team for a 3, 4, 5-man knockup.
Completely agree with you. And for the time being, Millenium have not been super proactive in their plays. They're going to try and shut down SOAS, but he's gotten away multiple times, and he's got the support of the rest of his team. So this is going to get turned back around. Kerp's the man in trouble.
Oh, kicked him in towards the hook. The box goes down as well, and that wild growth is going to be used very late, but it doesn't matter. Reckless secures the kill and puts him onto a killing spree now at 3-1-2. And Fnatic, are they going to be able, with that kill, to clear up this inner turret?
If Millenium stick around, they run the risk of eating a death sentence or a stun from Peke. So they decide not to defend the tower, and that was the right call. They would have needed the range wave clear of Lulu to play safely. Put that shield on a minion and get the Glitter Lance along to the back line. Fortunately for Millenium, they are going to get caught out once again. You know, that's the first positive play that they've tried to make. That just got turned around. And Fnatic, they were playing the bait game, and they've started off Baron. Millenium have got no vision of this. They have no idea that it's going on, and I think they're going to be too late. By time Millenium have moved, Baron's secured.
Baron's going to have gone down, and I'm not sure that Millenium are going to be able to touch this middle turret. In fact, Kevin has gone for a bit of a wander. Can they lock him up from this one? In fact, they decide not to chase in. Fnatic picking up the first Baron of the game, and that just really compounding their gold lead here to about 8,000. While Peke comes back around to the mid, and as I said before, not even going to take it down.
No, I can't. There's too much risk for Millenium. And they've fallen very far behind. 7,000 gold at 30 minutes. They're down in towers, down in dragons. They've lost the Baron. And yes, they have won team fights up until this point, but it's been reactive team fights. It wasn't a fight that Millenium started that they won. It was reacting to Fnatic's play. And in our pregame, we talked about how Fnatic struggle when they're under pressure, struggle when their opponents maybe push them around. And that's simply not the case now, because Millenium have been bullied, have been pushed, have got their backs against the wall. But the longer Fnatic takes to close this out, the more powerful that Lulu, that Kha'Zix, that Tristana is going to become. So we need to see if Fnatic can break that inner line of turrets and the inhibitor line, because that's really the game-changing moments.
Well, one big thing that's just been picked up there, I noticed that after the Baron, Peke was sat on 3,000 gold. He's gone back home and picked up a Deathfire Grasp, which means the wild growth at this stage might not be enough to keep the one person that gets caught out alive. And you maybe argue the counter to that one person being caught out is if Millenium fight on their terms, but I'm not sure there are terms that Millenium want to fight on right now. That's how far they've fallen behind in this game. Again, SOAS is going to bully on this top lane, going to force Kevin to back completely out of it. And this is a tanky Lee Sin. This is a Lee Sin with no damage items.
Yeah, nothing at all. One Doran's Blade. I mean, that's nothing to write home about at the 30-minute clock. And SOAS has just been bullying Kevin. The thing is, Kevin does have more CS. So in terms of team fight presence, they will both be doing a fairly good job. And with the Baron buff on Fnatic, Millenium are not even running the risk of a fight. J-Ree's just going to time a Black Shield well, and he can negate the threat of that death sentence, but decides against it at the end of the day. And Fnatic going back to split push, going back to leaving SOAS in the top lane. You need multiple members to kill this top lane tank Lee Sin, and Millenium can't afford to alleviate their members elsewhere.
Yeah, you talk about team fight presence for Kevin. There's no team fights. That's not really going to be anything that he can have an impact on in this game. Fnatic are pushing once again, this time down the mid lane towards that inner turret. There's a hook coming out. Actually, will flash wide. Kerp did have the black shield on him, but look at this. Peke and Cyanide going to be looking to get in there from the side. Can they land a long-range stun, which will surely set someone up to be burst down by that Fnatic team? Either way, Millenium know that they can't hold on to this turret. They leave it be, and Fnatic pick up their 6th tower of the game.
I would dare say, with the knockback on Syndra as well as Lee Sin and the power of the Lantern from Yellowstar, Fnatic have the option to tower dive in relative safety. because if something goes a little bit awry, they can just kick away the threat from Millenium and actually save their own team members. And we've seen how coordinated Fnatic are playing today. They just picked apart Roccat exquisitely, and a lot of it was due to Yellowstar and his great lanterns. And look at this, Fnatic just bullying their way onto the inhibitor turret, using the region of Baron to sustain any poke they've secured.
So as with all that armor, Manu can just get straight in underneath that turret, tank up 2 or 3 hits from it and let Reckless do the damage from that backside, and they're not going to give up just yet. Another hook actually coming in. There's a stun on towards Kevin. No big follow-up from Fnatic there. And we're looking maybe to stun up one of the more squishy targets that Millenium are trying to defend with Kurt, maybe one of them. The stun though, chipping him down in HP, and Fnatic using that Syndra over the top of the wall to keep Millenium at bay. There's a binding coming back, the hook not quite landing, but Fnatic won the turret here, and they've already got it down to less than half.
No Baron left on Fnatic, and now Millenium feel a bit more confident to push out. Unfortunately, the damage is done. 1 or 2 more waves for Fnatic, and they can secure that objective, but they're not playing risky. They don't want to go in. They've hooked Kevin, but there's not much support from the rest of the team. Dragon is also live, so it appears that Fnatic want the Dragon objective. They just need to be careful with team fights, because that's where Millenium have secured their kills previously and have actually been able to push Fnatic around. That was before they were 10,000 gold down.
Yeah, and that's not exactly ideal for Millenium. That hook obviously connecting from Yellowstar, but it's kind of like, you know, fishing and you think you've caught something nice and small, and actually a shark comes flying out the water of you. The Aatrox wasn't what Yellowstar was looking for in that scenario, all alone in the jungle. But it looks like Fnatic are going to be backing away here, spend up a little bit of that gold. I mean, Peke sat on over 2,000. There's over 2,000 gold for Reckless. Yellowstar himself has sat on about 1.5k, so plenty of gold to spend on this next trip home, and that next trip home may be the last before this next Baron comes into play, which Fnatic took without any kind of problem the last time.
Millenium couldn't contest. They had no vision to even try to contest, and they let it go unnoticed. Reckless finished off his Infinity Edge. There's 2 Randian Omens on the side of Fnatic. Void Staff for Peke. The item difference is massive. I mean, Peke is a full DFG and completed Void Staff ahead of Kerp at this exact moment in time. And unfortunately for Millenium, because they've continually lost those small objectives and those dragons for the majority of the game, it just means that even if they get a good team fight, it's not enough. Because Fnatic have got this window of safety, this 10, 12,000 gold lead worth of items to help mitigate any misplays or any errors in their team fights. And for Millenium, they just need to hold out. They need to wait for that 10 or 12,000 gold to become less relevant as you hit 60, 70, 80k. And at which point, that's when Tristana should be overtaking Reckless's Lucian, especially with that long range.
Well, we'll see if we even get that far in this match.
Fnatic sure as hell don't want to get there.
Yeah, I don't believe so either. We've got just over half a minute until the Baron does come up. There's a hook onto Kevin. Not the man that you're really looking for, as Reckless gets himself a red buff in preparation for a possible fight here on that Baron. Of course, Soaz doing what you'd expect a top laner to be doing, which is off pushing the opposite side of the map with his teleport available should it be called into use. Should Fnatic be challenged at all around this Baron area of the map. In the meantime, he's just going to keep squeezing the pressure onto that bottom lane. Don't forget, Millenium got no turrets left outside of their base.
And more importantly, Millenium have no vision of this Baron pit again. It looks like they run the risk of being flanked, of being caught out, and here comes Cyanide.
Cyanide throwing down the ultimate there. The teleports are going to start to come around. J-Reed falling very low. It's Reckless that gets that one to put him onto a rampage, and there's Soaz going around. The hook lands onto Kerp as well. Double kill for Peke. Kerp went down without using that wild growth, and that means trouble and possibly the game here for Fnatic. Kevin, the last man left standing, and the spawn time is already up at 30 or 40 seconds.
Absolutely great play from Peke. He saved that Deathfire Grasp until the last second. One of the things I like about his Syndra play, he waits for the target of Cotnex to jump in, and Cotnex tried to assassinate Reckless, but it was never going to work out. He dove into the entire back line, got shredded. Fnatic, convincing teamfight win. They've got the minions to push down the Nexus, and instead, you're going to play this one safe. Death time is off fairly short, so yes, erring on the side of caution and securing the Baron is probably the smarter play at this stage.
Yeah, I think they had enough to finish the game off there, but why take risks? All about points at this stage, especially when you know, looking at the fact that we're in a super week here, and to to come out of that 2-0 after day one would be a magnificent achievement for Fnatic and certainly help their chances as the road to Worlds continues. At this point, though, we do see that Baron will go down. Of course, no challenge whatsoever from Millenium. They've only just spawned back into the map, and it means that Fnatic again go home with an absolute ton of gold. 3K almost on Peke's, over 2 for Reckless. The rest of the team sat between 1.5 and 2,000 gold to spend as well. This game is pretty much, apart from the Nexus going down, over by now.
I completely agree with you, and I do really just want to highlight how great Yellowstar's playing on Thresh. Yes, Morgana's banned against him, but my word, the death sentence he landed onto Kerp in that mid lane after the fight allowed Fnatic just to get another kill, allowed them just to continue pushing even faster, even further. And I think when you've got such a good playmaker like Yellowstar for the time being, you can afford to run with slightly less engaged, because Fnatic, when they want to pick up the wins, they can. And barring 2 small misplays at Dragon earlier, they have once again been in complete control of this game. They were pushing around, they've had a gold lead, they've been dictating when fights happen for the most part. They commit to a Dragon, and Millenium have just been playing super reactive. So, you know, all credit to Fnatic for 2 great games. 2
inhibitors down, and Millenium back to the walls is maybe a little bit soft in this one, because we're approaching a 20,000 gold lead for Fnatic as they move in to what is the final turret outside of the Nexus here, as Kevin already down to less than half HP, and I'm not sure that they can hold on to this one. They might have to be relying on Nexus turrets to fight, as Kevin is going to get in there, does get a good wild growth. Millenium going to try to fight back on this one. Kevin does have his blood well popped. Can he get away from it? Does look like he will in fact escape that one, but look at Millenium, 3 or 4 men very low, as Kevin is going to get dove on there by Soaz. Survives it just about with a black shield, but they've got the in-him turret. They've got the turret, the inhibitor's exposed, and there are super minions pushing towards the Nexus turrets. Fnatic, if they get a kill, can peel over to the Nexus. In fact, they may not even need a kill. Look at that damage onto Kerp. Peke is now in trouble himself. Diving onto him, but he takes a lantern away, and Cyanide comes in from the side. Ulti goes down. Kevin's going to be the sacrificial lamb. Cottonex actually jumps in there as well. J-Re will fall, and this is surely the game now for Fnatic. Cyanide flashes over. They get that 1 kill. Can they get Creatine in the fountain? Yes, they can. They may even get more. Kerp going very, very low. In the end, though, Fnatic left with a 4 versus 1, and they want this kill on Kerp. That one doesn't land. Cyanide's chipping away on the turrets as we go. This is going to be the game for Fnatic. Still think that they might want to try and kill Kerp on the fountain. They may even try that one. In fact, Kerp's come out. He said, go on then, take the point. It is in the end Reckless that gets it, and the Nexus does go down. Victory for Fnatic, 2 out of 2 today. Fantastic performances in both of their games. I think the Ziggs top and the Lee Sin top are working for Soaz. The rest of his team is doing so well. Everybody's performing very well in these team fights and these game decisions and pushing the map. Millenium were just out-rotated, especially in the mid-game phase, where Fnatic just chipped away the towers, and a deserving 2-0 on the first day of SuperWeek here in Europe. Fnatic not making any mistakes there towards the end, not playing dangerously either. I think that's the key point to really realize from that they said, guys, we've had games where we've been ahead before and we've managed to blow them, whether it's through one decision or another. There's going to be none of that this time around, though. We play by the book, as Peke signed someone's book, and they did it in a very convincing fashion. Just under 40 minutes, 18-5 in kills, and just to run kind of down some of the scores there, 2 people in particular I want to talk about, actually 3. Peke in the mid lane ending 5-2-9, a 7-1-7 performance from Reckless again, bringing in the points for everyone who's got him in his fantasy team, not me, sadly enough, and Yellowstar. They've been banning Morgana or taking Morgana away from him, leaving the Thresh open, which is just mind-boggling to me, because his hooks have just been out of this world. Yeah, he really has been a game changer for Fnatic in the last few weeks. Today, Fnatic have shown a much better tactical and individual level than we have seen from them. It was 2 games back-to-back where they just played it, really well. It wasn't all amazing, though, because there were 2 dragon fights early on where they started the dragon, Millenium jumped in, and Millenium won the fights.
The problem for Millenium is they were not confident, or they were not able to start those fights again or again. So Fnatic just kept making the plays and chipped away a lead, which eventually became a massive downfall that crashed on Millenium's head.
Well, Fnatic already won half of their games from